All right, do you see that? That's sunshine. Isn't it beautiful? And the sound of dripping snow from the trees all around me. It's almost like it's raining out here. Beautiful day. And we're doing part 4, or our 4th step into the path of knowledge. Finding out what the nature of our existence is. Who are we? What is this bizarre thing that we're experiencing as life? We're doing some of the writings of Sri Nisargadatta from a book that was taken down from his teachings called I Am That. In everybody there is a dream. He's talking about this reality, the thing that we would call real. In everybody there is a dream, but the dreamer is the same. The one self, which reflects itself in each body as I am. So we're always talking about the fact that that ultimate reality is unchanging, deep within us, that it is the I am with no adjectives. And so if you have no adjectives, that is an awareness that we all share. Awareness is a singularity. You can't have multiple awarenesses. You can be aware of multiple things, but aware is always a oneness. And the way that it breaks down, it seems, is that something with no attributes in a perfect form of stability and contentedness does not change and does not move, because movement comes from imbalance or lack. And so we have what I'll call the noun of being, right? And the sages say, as we've pointed out before, that the nature, the last 3 things as you fall into that singular existence of perfection, the last 3 descriptions that will eke out of your mouth on the way to oneness is Sat Chit Ananda, that existence, knowledge, bliss, or love, absolute. So it's one being, one existence in each of us. There is that existence, there is that love in each of us, and there is that intelligence in each of us. Those are our fundamental characteristics. Now, what differentiates us from the I am? Well, you see, each one of us adds a number of things to the end of that I am. We give it a gender, an age, a profession, several thoughts, a personality, all of those things. So we become the verb because we break into a small component, and therefore we lose our integration. We lose our sense of oneness, our sense of perfection, our sense of contentment. So we become a verb of the noun. You see, so the ultimate existence is the noun. That means that it is intelligence itself. That means that it is love itself. That means that it is existence itself. But us, we are loving. We are not love itself. We are intelligent, but we are not intelligence itself. We exist, but we are not existence itself. And so we act out in this dream. And it's a common dream. We seem to be able to affect each other. We seem to exist in the same one, although I'm not sure how we can determine that. You can't say I am the only dreamer because you're making yourself a particular. And no particular can be the whole, one without a second, right? Because one without a second means there's no second. You can't say there's only one because that implies that you're not another. The idea of another exists in that. That's why they say non-duality instead of just unity, because unity becomes a thing. He goes on to say that love is seeing the unity under the imaginary diversity. There's you a definition of love to meditate on, to think about. Love is one of those names of God that has infinite possibilities, infinite permutations, and is very difficult to put your finger on in a sentence. But there he says it. Love is seeing the unity that underlies the apparent diversity. So that implies that everything that moves toward that unity is loving, and everything that moves away from that unity is the opposite of loving. So that is the birth of all notion of ethics. So instead of coming up with a long list of do's and don'ts that are all seemingly arbitrary and separate and just you can't do this and you can do this, now we have a single rule from which you can derive all right and wrong. So let's test it. Let's go to the Christian scriptures, 1 Corinthians 13, since I was talking about that with someone yesterday. This beautiful description of love. I'm going to list the characteristics of love, which is a list of virtues. It's up to you to do the meditation to see how each one of these virtues depends on an ideal of oneness, of unity. So we see that love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it does not boast, love is not proud, love does not dishonor others, love is not self-seeking, love is not easily angered, love keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil. Love rejoices in the truth. Love always protects. Love always trusts. Love always hopes. Love always perseveres. Love never fails. You can go through the exercise that I always encourage people to do with this verse of Scripture, is to go in there and first replace the word love with the word I as an affirmation each morning that you are each of those attributes, and commit yourself to manifesting those attributes in your day. That's really all the practice you need right there. You'll come to that knowledge of the divine, your realization, if you do those as a practice. And then if you are doing that practice in the presence of the beloved or the idea of God, then plug the name of God into each one of those attributes. God is kind, God is patient. And that also will increase your faith and increase your trust and bring you to that unity of relationship. Because it's easy to surrender to love. It's an ideal of every romance novel we've ever read, every movie we've ever seen, every love song we've ever heard has that unity, that surrendering to one another as its ideal. So that is where we're at today. That looking out of my eyes at this camera right now, and quite probably the eye that's looking out of your eyes at a YouTube video somewhere in the world, that awareness is the same in each one of us. And the nature of that awareness is love. And that's the beauty of this existence. That's the wonder of living. That's the purpose and the reason that we care and that we do get up every morning and go about a life. Because manifesting that covered nature of love, intelligence, and being is happiness, is joy, is bliss. And following those paths to the ideal, those characteristics of love, is what makes life fulfilling. It's what makes it worthwhile. It's what makes us human.